Hello, and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2022-2023 school year. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. As we continue to adapt to a post-pandemic environment and adjust to new educational hurdles, we are pleased that we can provide you with an opportunity to complete our NACEP required activities in a platform where you can still make a connection to your liaison. Throughout the semester, ACE Liaisons scheduled live Zoom sessions to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines in which you teach. While we understand that it is not always possible for you to attend these live sessions, these sessions were recorded so you can get the benefit of the event with the discussion from those who attended. Please enjoy the recording of your annual discipline-specific activity. We hope next school year we will be able to welcome you back to our campus for an in-person event. Thank you for your continued hard work in making this program available to students.
Right, recording to the cloud. All right, gang. Let's do a little screen share here, just to pull up the old agenda for the night. And that is this document. We're going to go around, do some welcome and introductions. I see a lot of familiar faces out there. So, you know, nice to see you guys again. We got some new faces out there too. So we'll just go around. We'll introduce ourselves, the classes that we teach. We'll go over some expectations for you guys of what what we at Penn Highlands need from you guys in terms of your course content and delivery. For the research and development in the field portion of tonight, I'm going to go over a summary / analysis of the ACE Common Assessment results from the previous academic year. We will discuss the assessment cycle that we go through in the math department, and at the end, we will leave time for questions. But on that note, we'll start the welcome portion of tonight's meeting. And gang, I'll start off. I'm Wayde Simington. I'm an instructor here at Penn Highlands Community College. I have been here at Penn Highlands part-time since 2013, full-time since 2019. I've been in the ACE department for a really, really long time. It feels like I want to say I've been doing the ACE thing for probably 7 or more years. So as you guys work through your careers and hopefully continue to work with us at Penn Highlands, we'll get to know each other pretty well. And as far as like the classes I teach, I will teach anything and everything I can get my hands on. I'm wildly enthusiastic about our discipline. I love mathematics. I think it's awesome. So I love teaching anything. This particular semester, I'm teaching an algebra fundamentals, like a pre-algebra class. I'm teaching an intermediate algebra class. I'm teaching a college algebra class. I'm teaching a discrete mathematics class. And there's another one, a business mathematics class. So I have five classes, and I think I've taught every math class that Penn Highlands offers. I'm proud of that. So, but that's me in a nutshell, I guess, in what I do. I guess I will say I travel all over to all different schools and stuff. I teach mainly out of the Blair campus and out of the Richland campus. I split my time between the two. And I hang my hat in Roaring Spring, Pennsylvania, good old Morrison's Cove. But that's me. If I could call out a couple of my veterans to go next, maybe we'll pass it over to Scott Kreis.
Scott Kreis, I teach at Forest Hills. I've been there since 2008. I had 3 years at Bald Eagle before that. Wade worked with me in my classroom, and I can't believe that it was before 2013. That feels like not that long ago. But this year is going really, really well for me. I have 2 AP Calcs, 1 AP Stats, and 2 trigonometries. And I don't know if anyone else has looked into the pre-AP, pre-Calc that is going to be offered, but I'd like to hear about it if anyone else is interested, because I'm trying to talk my school into offering that too. And I'm also in charge of our cyber math last year and this year.
Yeah, as Scott mentioned, Scott, when I went through my student teaching, I was really fortunate to be able to learn from him, and I was his student teacher. And yeah, it's awesome to be coworkers now. So thanks, Scott, for all the help. I still get compared to this day to Scott Christ, like on occasion. We both make sound effects at the board. I know there's one thing I picked up from him. When I'm at the board, I'm always like doing fireworks and stuff, and I call my classroom gang, which is definitely something I stole from him. They're the gang. But yeah, a lot to be learned from you. Thanks, Scott, again. But let's pass it over to Paul, who's also a rock star.
I'm Paul Kieser. I teach at the Clearfield Area High School. I think I've been doing the ACE program longer than Wade. I've been in it since I started teaching calculus and pre-calculus about 10 years ago. Yeah, and this year that's all I ever teach is AP Calc and pre-calculus.
Thank you for sharing, Paul. Ben, let's jump over to you. Can we have you go next?
Yeah, of course. I'm Ben Fillion. I teach 6 classes at Turkey Foot. So I teach everything from consumer math, algebra 1, geometry, college algebra, pre-calc, and AP calc.
Okay, yeah. So you're like me. You're running the whole gambit.
I have the whole high school math department is me. So I did not know about ACE. I started 3 years ago at Turkey Foot, right before COVID started. So I was just thrown into a class and they were like, yeah, it's dual enrollment, figure it out. I was like, okay. But I have my master's now. So I feel like that's an accomplishment too.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah. So I only teach intermediate algebra for our district through Penn Highlands, because we also do dual enrollment through Mount Aloysius as well. So that's the other class.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, Ben. And Ben, if you're fairly new to ACE, yeah, I know you're figuring stuff out. My job is to help you out if you ever need anything. So now that we've met, don't be a stranger. Love helping you guys out. So this is doing this job is one of my favorite parts of working at Penn Highlands is doing this. So yeah, let me know if you need anything. And Jessica, do we have you on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. We're just going around and introducing ourselves.
Okay, so I'm Jessica Fishburne. I am at Juniata Valley High School. This is my very first year at Juniata and also teaching an ACE class, but I'm doing the intermediate algebra at Juniata Valley. So I teach everything else. I teach college algebra, algebra 1, math for the trades, everything else, but the only ACE course I have is intermediate.
Nice. And I think I'm going down to Juniata Valley tomorrow.
Yes, you'll see me tomorrow.
Yep. All right, gang. So that concludes the introductions. Thank you for doing that. Let me check my agenda. Let's reference this. All right. Yeah. Let's jump into the PowerPoint and let's begin by talking about syllabi and textbooks. Hopefully all of you guys have received your syllabi. If not, please let me know right now and I'll make sure I get it sent over to you right away. Or we can show you how to find it on myPEAK. So all of you guys should have like a login for myPEAK, which is like our portal that we use. And where you can find those, I'm gonna log in real quick. Is if you log into myPEAK, you can go to the ACE page. And if you hit the math page, we have all the different math classes we offer. Most of you guys are intermediate algebra, college algebra, pre-calc, prob and stats, and calc 1. But if you click any of these, I'll click a popular one, which is college algebra. There's a link there for the syllabus. That you can download and open. And also, I believe like when you sign up, I think Kaylee Malsey or Dane Lamont possibly will send you a copy of the syllabus. Every syllabus has the textbook. Let's open up this Mat 145 syllabus real quick. And let's just get a look. This is what all of our all of our college syllabi more or less look like this, but you've got your textbook listed on there. And if you guys need a book, then feel free to let me know. I'll reach out to the publisher, get you one. You don't need to use our textbook for your classes. So don't worry about that, right? What you guys need to do is, with regard to that syllabus, even continuing with that discussion, is you guys just need to make sure you're hitting all the learning objectives that are listed on that syllabus. You don't need to use our book. Our books, we have pretty good books though. So if you want a copy, we'll get you one. If you want to use it as a reference, and if you want to see how we're doing it here at Penn Highlands, we can do that. But the big part of the syllabus that I would want to draw your guys' attention to is, well, the expected learning outcomes that are listed on here, right? So for example, this is the college algebra one. Your first learning objective: given an expression involving radicals, the student will be able to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and simplify at a success rate of 70%. Standard teacher talk, but you guys can teach it however you want. Use whatever problems you want, just so long as you teach everything on that list, we will be good. And again, if you need a textbook, or if you're watching this later and you want a textbook, just shoot me an email or give me a call or a text, and we will get you a copy of that. Another resource that's available to you guys is MyMathLab or myStatLab. I know I got a couple of stats guys in here. So like Scott, you're teaching stats.
I am.
I don't know if you guys use like a statistical software. MyStatLab is pretty cool and it's pretty user friendly. I know a lot of folks like enjoy using Excel as well though, and that's fine. You don't have to use this, but I think MyStatLab especially is like the most user friendly stat software I've ever used. But in general, gang, MyMathLab's resources are really helpful to us as teachers. They can give you access to PowerPoints, videos, animations, test questions, and more. The example I always like to show off, which I'm going to do here, I'll pull up my college algebra class, and you guys will have to give me a second just to. Now, my version of MyMathLab is going to look different from how your guys's will. Like, we have ours embedded in our LMS. You folks would have to go to mymathlab.com and log in. But the one animation I always love showing my class and is with college algebra. And I gotta even remember what section this is out of. I want to say it's out of this one. But you can see the multimedia library is a really great resource, or place to go for resources rather. They've got test prep videos, the multimedia textbook is there, PowerPoint, like publisher PowerPoints, videos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I always like, I don't know about you guys, but the first time my students hear of odd symmetry, it blows their minds. Even symmetry is fine. Symmetry with respect to a line, no big deal. Y-axis symmetry, not a problem. But when you try to explain symmetry through the origin, through a point, for the most folks, that's the first time they've ever seen symmetry through a single point. So having like this little animation here, being able to, pull up a computer generated odd function and being able to show the symmetry that actually exists within an odd function. I get a lot of money's worth out of this very animation that's there. But also sometimes at the college, we end up running independent studies. And, if a student is on their own to learn the material, having these publisher PowerPoints is a great resource to like help them kind of condense and highlight the high points of a section. But all of that is to say that if you guys would like to take advantage of those MyMathLab resources, please just let me know. I'll email our Pearson rep. We'll get you a login, and you can start taking advantage of those. Your students, I'll let you guys know, your students will not be able to access MyMathLab because there's a cost to it. But you guys could get access to it, and you can use it as a resource. So again, if that's anything you're interested in, let me know and we will get you set up. Moving along. There's other resources available for you guys in myPEAK in the same place as your syllabus. So let's pull that back up here. We'll go to the college algebra page. I know on the college algebra page, I feel like I've uploaded a couple. Well, there's a couple handouts that are there. There's a couple exam review documents that are there, some sample final, and a couple different activities that you can use in class. Not all of these resources are mine, but there we're seeing some quizzes and sample quizzes and exams that those may be mine. But if you guys are wondering, maybe like, what does a college algebra final exam look like at the college level? Check that out. You could compare yourself to us because I know one thing a lot of ACE faculty sometimes are concerned about is like, am I teaching this at a college level? And I love that you guys take that seriously. So thank you. Check that out. If you're curious or just, if you have a test made up and you're like, hey, is this of the college level? Shoot it to me. I'll review it. I'll look over it. And I will say, generally speaking, I usually see like awesome stuff out of you guys. I guess I'm setting the bar pretty high here, huh? Anyway, all right, gang, let's keep going. Expectations for you guys. I think I already mentioned the content that you cover is important. And by that, I mean, make sure you're hitting all the learning objectives that are listed on the college approved syllabus that we send you or that you have access to. Make sure you are teaching this at a college level. And that includes, well, for you guys, that's basically at the AP level, right? At the AP or honors level for your students is what we're looking for there in terms of rigor. And in terms of grading, please make sure you use the grade breakdown that we have listed on our syllabi. Like we use a standard college grade scale where we're like 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B. I know a lot of high schools may use like a different scale for that. So please be mindful of that. And also please be mindful that we do not offer extra credit for our classes. I mean, I might, in my class, I might break that rule a little bit and I might offer them like 5 extra credit points. That does nothing. It does nothing to their grades other than provide them with a little bit of motivation. But for instance, I know some schools are required to offer maybe up to 5% of extra credit. Scott has his hand up. And so unfortunately, Scott, for you, that requires a little bit of extra work. We just need you to keep 2 grade books or maybe, hopefully you just have a column in your grade book that's like extra credit column and you can just turn that off and find out what their real grade is. Yep. But please, folks, please do be mindful of that, that the grade you submit at the end of the academic year doesn't include extra credit or maybe just a couple points, right? But nothing crazy. And that it follows the college grade scale. All right. I think that's all I have to say about expectations. Let's talk about site visits. Jessica, I'm sure you're interested about this one because this is happening to you tomorrow. It's nothing to be scared of. So we can do these in person or via Zoom. I am the kind of guy, I like to be there in the room and I like to see what's happening. So I avoid the Zoom ones if I can. And now that we're kind of getting over this COVID thing, hopefully I never have to do a Zoom observation again. But after the observation, I'll send you, I'll type up a report and I'll send it to you. And gang, I want to say the point of these observations is not to critique your teaching. It's just simply to make sure you're teaching the stuff that's on our syllabus at a college level. That being said, we do have some awesome teachers here, and I steal so much stuff from you guys when I go into your classrooms that I can take back to my own classrooms. So like, just keep up the good work with that. But that's not the point of the observation. And the observation doesn't get sent, the report doesn't get sent to your principal. You know, maybe on the way out, what I like to do sometimes, if I see a really good observation, I'll tell the principal, you know, I'll put in a good word for you guys. But nothing actually gets sent to your principals or whoever your supervisor is. That stays between us and the admins here at Penn Highlands. What else did I want to say about that? I'll pull back up. These site visits are done on a 2 to 3 year cycle. It just depends on how many I can fit in a year or in a semester, whether it'll be 2 or 3 years before I see you again. And when I show up for these observations, for these site visits, I do need to collect student samples. And what those student samples are, it's an A grade, a C grade, and an F grade. And they must be samples of A students, but it can be any graded quiz, homework, exam, anything you collected, graded, and gave back to the students. And I do know that a lot of the students that you guys get enrolling in these classes are A grade students. So maybe you don't have an F grade student, or F grade sample. Maybe you don't even have a C grade sample. Maybe all of your A students are all A's. That's fine. That's A-okay. I'll just take the A sample and say the C and F grade samples weren't available. But and you can please redact the names on those. If you do not redact the names, that's fine. I will redact them when I go to upload them to our database. All right, assessment. This is the big one, gang. This is the big one for the meeting. Assessment. We need to make sure we're all on the same page with regard to assessment. Well, that's not the right slide. So one thing that has changed within the past 2 or 3 years in the ACE department is now that we are having everyone submit common assessment information. I'll pull the common assessment doc up here in a minute, but this is a big thing that I need to wave my hands about because not everybody does send this stuff in, but we do need everyone that teaches an ACE class to administer and report upon a common assessment question. You can include the common question for your course as an open-ended question on an exam or on a quiz when the topic is taught. Like it doesn't need to be part of the final exam. It could just happen whenever naturally that quiz or exam would arise. And there's a reporting spreadsheet that is available on myPEAK. And also I usually send that out in my introductory emails as well, but that's where you record the results for your ACE students. And we'll take a peek at that here in a second after we round out this slide by saying, email back to your liaison within 1 week of administering the test or quiz that had the common question, as in please get those results back to me like before the end of the year. It's just being honest. It's just, it really makes my life hard when I get like 25 of these like in the middle of like May or something like that. So please, if you could send them to me as you work through them, I greatly appreciate that. But let's take a look at the common assessment document. Where is it? Nope. Okay, it's actually, I don't have it opened up. Give me a second, gang. It's there. It's in this one. It's here. This is the common assessment document for the whole entire academic year. And on this document, we have all of our Penn Highlands courses listed here, the chapter or section that the assessment question comes up in. And then as you go down, every question, let's go down to a class that's relevant to you guys. Let's go down to college algebra. Or no, let's go to intermediate algebra. Yeah. The question here that we decided to ask this year is to graph the equation by plotting 3 points, and one of the points should be the y-intercept, and that equation is y equals 1/3 x plus 2. So graphing a linear equation. we have then a rubric that goes along with this. And these rubrics are pretty straightforward. If anything you think comes up that's ambiguous, you're like, I don't know if this is a 2 or a 3 or a 4. You know, some of these things as the questions become more complex, there is a little bit of gray area there. But if you have a question on how anything would score, feel free to shoot me an email and ask, or you also can use your best judgment on that. But it has a question, a solution, and a grading rubric. So after you administer the question, what you want to do is you just want to hop over to your Excel spreadsheet. And at the bottom here, you can see there's a bunch of different spreadsheets here, one for each class. We were looking at Math 131. So we would go to the Math 131 spreadsheet, and I'm going to put the student last name. I'm going to put their score. I'm going to check the components they got right. And then you're going to email this back to me after you get that done. And what I do is I compile all of them and do a little bit of an analysis on it. Okay. I think that's all I want to say about assessment, expectations, site visits, resources. I do have a little bit of a blurb I want to go through, a little bit of a report, if you will, on the 2021 and 22 assessment results from the ACE faculty. But I think this is a good time to stop and take a breath and ask you guys how you're doing out there. Do we have any questions or comments? Beautiful. Keep the meeting going, they're saying. All right, you got it, guys. All right. So thank you to you guys that did send in assessment data. And if you're watching this later, thank you for sending that in if you did. If you didn't, please do this year. We'll probably be reaching out to you if you didn't send assessment information last year. But this is where we'll segue into this report here that has all ACE courses and all ACE faculty brought together. This is for the whole entire fall 2021 and spring 2022 assessment results. So, and pretty much you guys know how to read. So, let's hit the high points on here. On all of these objectives, we're looking for 70% student success. For intermediate algebra, last year was an exponents question. I think they had to do like a product rule. I think they had to do a power rule for exponents. I think they had to do a 0 exponent rule question. But last year on the whole, we had 61%, 17 out of our 28 ACE students meeting that objective, which does fall short of our 70%, our goal of 70% success. I've been compiling and doing this type of report since fall of 2020. So I have cumulative results available since fall of 2020. And we're at 61% cumulatively since fall of 2020 on that learning objective. And the learning objective we're assessing for that class did change this year. It's the graphing question we just took a peek at. So I'm going to go by class rather than reading all of these chunks at one time. So I'm going to keep going with Math 131. On a component by component basis, each component was answered with a success rate above 70%. And the component requiring use of the product rule for exponents had an 89% success rate. So like this, and I could pull up the spreadsheet here for Math 131. That's what this is. And where I would want to draw your attention to is this part right here. We had about 89% of students use that product rule correctly, 75% used the power rule correctly, 71% used the 0 exponent rule correctly. You might be wondering, how do we only have a 61% success rate then? Well, in order for a student to be categorized as a passing here, we need them to get all 3 components right. If they get 0, 1, or 2 components correct, they fail the learning objective. So we were on a component by component basis. We're killing it in Math 131. We just need what do I have? How do I have this phrased? more students will have to get all three components of this question correct in order to meet the goal of 70% success. Which, like, duh, right? Yeah. Of course, that's how we're going to get it, is by getting more people to get it right. We just need more consistency out of our students there, from problem to problem. The zero exponent rule does continue to be the most missed question. That was the same thing last year. And that's the same thing we see at the college level. Honestly, that zero exponent rule question has haunted us for a couple of years, that we've been assessing it, just trying to really get that through to our students. But alas, we moved on to a different problem this year. Okay. That's it for Math 131. Let's talk about college algebra, which I know applies to some of you folks as well. The success rate for college algebra there was 62%. So we were at 39 out of 63 of our A students. So that one also fell short of our 70% success rate. But cumulatively, we're at 66% since fall of 2022. So we're close with college algebra. And that college algebra question was a variation question, and it had the pi symbol in it. And I know our students at Penn Highlands, they would sometimes get intimidated as soon as pi was brought into it. So that might be, an excuse why that wasn't at the 70% success rate, even though, like we saw with intermediate algebra, on a component by component basis, we're still hitting above a 70% success rate. Let's check out that college algebra spreadsheet. Yeah, we're having about 86% of our students are setting up the initial variation formula correctly. They're doing correct substitutions. That's like a 78% are doing correct substitutions. 83% are calculating the constant of proportionality correctly. That's a huge improvement from last year. And then 78% in turn are able to use K and the correct values for H are to solve for V, the volume. It was a volume of a cone question, I think. Again, how do we only have about 62% passing and 38% failing? It's because we would just need more consistency from our students to get the entire problem correct, not just 3 or so components of it. Our recommendations last year on this learning objective, because we did use the same assessment question last year, the recommendation last year was that if students can calculate K correctly, they're more likely to get the whole entire problem correct. And that's the point we need to focus on. And this year we did, I don't take any credit for you. You guys really showed up and you did get that success rate up a lot higher. So awesome. Congrats and thank you to all of my college algebra teachers out there that got those points across. We're still not there at the 70% success rate, but we're improving, at least on that component. This academic year, we're assessing the same learning objective, but we're using a different question that doesn't involve the use of pi, and we're going to see how we do there and see if maybe that was the hang up from getting us to that 70% success rate. And then after that, if we do hit the 70% success rate, maybe we'll bring pi back into it. Who knows? All right. The next one, this is the last one that didn't meet the learning objective. After this, guys, it's all roses. The pre-calculus folks, we were at a 58%. That's a smaller group. We only had 19 students in total. And 11 out of them met the objective. Doesn't meet our goal of 70% success. But one thing I did see when I was analyzing that data, again, we're seeing on a component by component basis, we're hitting over 70% on all of them. So that's awesome. But what I saw when I was looking at the spreadsheet here is that I've got a lot of folks that got 3s. For instance, this student here. So they did all of the problem correctly, except for the very last step, which required them to write their answer with only positive exponents. I want to say we had 4. Yeah, 4 out of 5 students that got a 3 made this mistake. They factored out, I think this was a factoring problem involving a negative exponent, but they factored everything out correctly. They just didn't write their answer with positive exponents. So if we could just get students in the habit of always and only using positive exponents in their answer, and if we could have converted those 4 out of those 5 threes to 4s, we would have met our learning objective, our goal of 70% success there. I think we're using the same question this year, and honestly, this is my same recommendation as last year. Is like, let's really just get students in the habit of only writing positive exponents in their answer. Okay. Now, I've got a couple Scott, I think you're in this next group. You did stats and you did calculus last year, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
100% success rates on the calc and the stats. This is